Hello, everybody. Welcome to We'd Rather Be Reading. I'm Jerrica.
And I'm Leah.
So, what'd you read this week?
What did I read this week? Well, I read, obviously, Campus Player by Jennifer
Sucevic.
Look at that. I can do it. I can do it. And then I've also obviously still been reading the Shadowhunters books.
Oh, yeah.
I started the second one in the Elder Scrolls series, which is called The White Book of Magic. But then our next book here is also an audiobook. So now I'm a little bit torn here. I'm gonna have a lot of audiobooks going on at the same time. So it's got a little complicated. So I also had to find a book to read. And after doing poor researching skills clearly here, I ended on a book called Thoughtless by S.C. Stevens. And started reading. It turns out this book is really freaking long, first off. And, so I was like, at one point they're like, oh, we don't have cell phones, the main girl and her boyfriend. And I'm like, what is this? Like the 1900s? What are we, in the past? Like, what is this? So I went into Goodreads here to see what year this book was released. It's 2011. So clearly these people are a little bit backwards because I had a cell phone in 2011, so clearly everyone should have had one. And realized that this book has some strong opinions about it.
Okay, read us one.
Alright, so on the front page, first page here in Goodreads, there's 3 reviews. One is a 2-star and 2 are 1-star reviews, which is rare for a book that has an average of a 5-star review. So all in all. But this book seemed to have elicited some strong emotions by its reader.
Okay.
The one review here by someone called Steph is... The main girl here is Kira, so you should know that. It starts like this. I hate Kira. I want to punch her, strangle her, ram her head through a wall, and then make her eat a porcupine.
It's so extreme.
And then it goes on with how she would abuse her. And then she goes, because she's just so stupid. I hate the bitch so much that I don't know how to express it, and this book sucked ass. So here I get a little bit concerned with my book choice, and should I continue reading this? So I figured I'd read another review just, to see if it was maybe just this one. And this one goes, this is the epitome of everything that is rotten, unhealthy, and just intrinsically wrong in a romantic relationship. This book takes the concept of too stupid to live to a whole new level. I really don't think I've felt so strongly about a literary character ever in my life. Kira is the most idiotic, selfish, undeserving, lying bitch in the world. Loathe doesn't even cover how I feel. Actually, Kira, the only thing you deserve is to die. Really.
It's extreme. So this is a book about
and this
romance.
was by Lemonessa, who did this review here on Goodreads. So... feeling slightly concerned here by my choice of book and my future, enjoyment of this story. I attempted to put it down, but I felt that I couldn't.
No,
because I was actually a bit invested.
Books,
and now I need to know, because let's face it, this girl is now entangled with 2 boys, and I need to know how this is going to end. So... would I recommend Thoughtless? I don't know. We'll talk about it next week. We'll see. So what did you read this week?
I finished reading, the reverse harem book that I got tricked into. No, it was a romance, of course. Well, it was about gods and stuff like that by Michelle Hercules, and it was so good.
I actually looked up Michelle Hercules this week because she was on my list, but then I couldn't find any of her books because I'm in book jail. It's freaking scribed.
Okay.
And the only book I wanted to read was one that was in Supernatural. It was about rock stars because I do like the rock star.
And I liked the book so much. When I finished it, I actually re-listened to the last 3 chapters. Wow. I haven't never done that before.
Not even with Sarah J. Maas.
I know, for real. I was like, no way, I need to listen to it again and make sure I understand how everything finished. Because the story was a really good story. Yes, of course, we joke about how she's in a relationship with 4 different guys, but it's love, they're soulmates. They love each other. But the gods have a lot of play, a lot of hands at play here. And so you really need to know at the end, what has happened. And they're just teenagers. They're 18 to 20 years old. These Well, the characters in the book, the gods are all old gods.
Okay, good.
That are like playing around with these kids.
Because I have issues here with the gods being 20-year-olds. Like Persephone was a 20-year-old.
No, these gods are proper gods. I think you would like this book. Like, it's a good story. Anyway, so then I re-listened to the last 3 chapters, and then I was like, okay, Michelle Hercules is obviously an author that I like. So I looked up her books also, and Scribe did not put me in book jail for the next one. That's called The Dark Prince. They're not reverse harem books or anything like that.
No, I found those as well, but those are vampire books.
These are vampire books.
I wanted the Rockstar one. So
okay.
She has a Rockstar one.
But I'm listening to the vampire book, and he's like an original vampire, and there's a town in the world where everyone knows about supernaturals, but the second you leave the town, you like forget that supernaturals exist. So, and the town is called Salem, very coincidentally. No, it has a lot to do with Salem, the witch trials and everything like that. And it's good so far. It was slower because I was like, where are all of her relationships?
You're like, how come there's not 4 boys to this one girl?
There's only one guy.
There's only one. Oh my god, she's going to have so much time left over. At least in my Thoughtless book, there's 2 guys to juggle. I'm just saying.
So that's what I'm listening to, and I really like it.
But this one is a love triangle, so maybe you would like it. I'll tell you if it works out.
And I also, of course, read Campus Player by Jennifer Sucevic, the same as you. And I had a dream. So I think I went to bed after we were talking that day about, where are you at in this book? And I'm like, they're now at the father's house, and had their first kiss. And he admits to her that he's a virgin. So then I went to bed and I had a dream that's the book finished, and that was the book. And I call you, and I'm like, Leah, the book ended at him just like admitting, and they didn't even have sex, and like there's no.
He's just gonna stay a virgin.
And I was
he's like, look, I'm a virgin, and I intend to stay this way. I've been pining over you for 7 years, but now that I have you, I'm not going to sleep with you. I'm just going to stay a virgin. I have made it my life's mission.
I woke up and I was like, wow, I literally dream about the books we read and talking to you about the books.
It's great. I'm now in your dreams. I like it.
Do you know what happened to me yesterday? I had a friend over that was going to come to my yoga classes with me, and before she came over, I put my phone up on the top of the car.
Is that why it's cracked a little bit there?
Tiny bit.
Right.
So I put the phone on the top of the car, and then we were in a rush to leave to get to the studio, and I drove away with the phone still on the top of the car. So those kind of things, like I usually am like check, check, check before I do everything, but I think there was another person in play. I don't know. Anyways, I can't like go back and turn back time. So I get to the studio and I don't have the phone, and then we both look at each other because she knew I had put it on the top of the car. Like, oh no, where's the phone? So she's like, I'm gonna get the studio all ready. Luckily, we had a yoga teacher that was going to practice class with us, so she was able to like start the class should I be late. And they were like, just go and try to find your phone, like, because I have everything in my case, like all of the cards. So I hop in the car, I drive back to the house, and I'm like looking on all of the sides of the road like a mad person, head sticking out the window to try to see if I could find my phone. Luckily, my case is orange, and the phone is within the case. And it's like magnetic to it. So I figure, okay, if it falls off the car, hopefully it was right outside my house. Like worst case scenario, it was like on a big road, and now the phone's been driven over a million times. So I get to close to my house, and I see just the shell, and not the phone.
Oh no!
I know. So I see the shell, and I'm like, okay, I have the cards. And, like, I'm from Toronto, so, like, city mind, I was like, somebody found this and just took the phone, obviously.
I'm taking the card,
like,
too.
Somebody was walking
you can blip your card here. I mean, you can get...
Yeah, no, for sure, you could have taken the cards, but it would be easiest to take the phone and clean it and whatever. But anyways, so I'm like, okay, somebody's just stolen the phone, but maybe they didn't, because because we live in Sweden and not in Toronto. And so I hop in the ditch and I start to look for the phone, and other people, so friendly, stop and help me look for the phone, although I had to admit to them that I put the phone on my garbage.
You should have just said, someone took it out of my hand and threw it out the window. That's what I would have said. No,
so then after a while, when I couldn't find my phone, I thought to myself, you know what's the first thing I thought of? And I was like, that's okay, I have the cards, I could buy a new phone. But then I won't be able to read books.
Oh no! You would have had to be my
Will all of my apps stay the same in my mind?
I think they do. Thank God, iPhone.
But does it? Because you don't have the same SIM card, you have the same phone number, but do they all like reload?
Yeah, because it's also saved in the cloud. And then you just download a copy of your phone. So like the last time it backed up, that's the version you're going to get back on your phone. But sometimes you have to remember password. And this is really where I go. Like whenever I switch phones, I'm like, I had a password for this. Yeah, I'm sure it was very safe and secure. So safe that I no longer remember it.
Yes. You can never break into your own phone. No. But luckily a runner found it, and then the person helping me called my phone, and the runner answered it and said, I have the phone and come pick it up. So I got it, and I made it to class about 6 minutes late, but the teacher had warmed up the class, and then I was able to run it. But so the phone is a little worse for wear. It is not like completely smashed to the point of not being able to read, but it's like corners are a little scratched up. But I'm super happy to say, even though it was a dumb thing to do, I still have my books.
The most important of all of the things. I mean, I'm just saying, if you wouldn't have had a friend in the car, you would have realized sooner, because he would have cut out your feed.
I know. I know.
They would have just stopped working. You would have been like, where's my... Oh no, it's not here.
I know, it's true. Yeah. I would have known like within the first
couple... I forgot my phone once in my mom's house.
Yeah.
And I mean, she lives on the other side of the country, like a good 5-hour drive from here. And I'm like, I'm driving out, and then I'm like, it's not connected. It is not connected. So turn around, go back. I'm like, it's in here somewhere. It wasn't connected to my car, so I have forgotten it. It is not in here.
It's true.
Well, I also realized we did forget to judge this Campus Player book by its cover. And, I mean, the cover of this book is literally of a boy's torso. We can't even see his eyes.
It doesn't matter. It's hot as hell.
His eyes doesn't matter. We don't see the long blonde hair, though, so clearly they chose a poor model for this. And he's got a little stash going on there,
and it's dark, right?
And he's got a towel around. Yeah. But from this, I would say that this is about a hot guy and sex. So...
Yeah, for sure. And, like, obviously he's some sort of athlete because he's in the showers.
Yes, exactly. Because only athletes shower.
With those kind of abs, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But, you know, the other book that I read of hers, the reason why we're reading this one, the cover of it is also a super hot guy, similar, like, with a ripped torso. But then there's a sneaky extra cover that not everybody knows about, and it has a couple on it. And they don't look anything like the characters in the book.
I hate when they do that.
And because the characters in the book are a football player and a ballerina. And even...
I think I actually read that in the reviews in Goodreads. They were like, they should have worked harder on their stock photo.
The couple on the cover... Because this is not the cover I ever saw, so it didn't, like, affect the way I saw the characters at all. But when I read the reviews, I went and looked for that cover. And I saw it, and, like, the couple on the cover are trashy. Like, they're wearing leather jackets, and the hair's, like, all messed up. And she doesn't have a ballerina body. And anyway, so the couple on that should not be judged for that book.
Well, we will judge it because someone made a choice to put those kids on the cover. So clearly, you know, I will judge harshly. Like, it's my right.
Yeah, that's true.
To judge.
But this cover was hot, and you could tell that the character in the book is going to be hot. Campus Player by Jennifer Sucevic.
And we did finish it.
We finished it. Yeah, it was a really fast read for me.
It was, for sure. So... In this, we've already, spoiled here that our main guy, Rowan, here is a virgin. Yes. So I thought, when I got to this part, we're going to have sex education, which is section education, which is something that is fairly common with girls being inexperienced, and the guy is going to teach her everything she needs to know. Yeah. And he'll make her come on her first time having sex. It's all going to be fantastic and rosy and all of that. I'm like, all right, we're going to have a reversal of this, which I've actually read a book with reverse section education that was actually quite good in that aspect. Then there was other issues with this book.
There was a tiny bit reverse
It's called, the other book that I read is
Okay.
called Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan, and I actually quite like that book.
Okay.
And it's full on proper reverse sex education. Like he knows nothing, and it is very nice the way that one's written. This one, I was like, okay, it's gonna be like that because I jumped to this conclusion right away.
Yeah.
But then it's not.
But I was a little confused too because I had the idea, of course, that she wanted us to have the idea that he was a player, right?
Yeah.
So I felt like I read in the beginning that he had girls riding him, but maybe it was just in like a humping way or something like that. And then, but so the story goes that, of course, our main character is a soccer player and she's dating this Justin guy. And she catches him getting a blowjob by her, like, arch nemesis.
Yeah, a team member on her soccer team.
That scene was kind of hot, though. That team member, like, she was like... the team member looks up at her while she's blowing her boyfriend and just gives her, like a dirty look.
Yeah.
And the main character was like, she's pretty good at this.
Yeah.
And she lingers for like a long
She does.
time. And
But
she's
anyways,
like inner dialogue and she's like watching
she
this
is,
happen.
and then she's like, "Don't stop on my behalf," you know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
love
But I
the
mean,
way that was handled.
Justin was an asshole, and then
Yeah.
he ends up spreading rumors about her sleeping with the whole football team.
Yeah.
Which is her worst nightmare, and then she gets all stressed about this. But this whole, I want to go back here. I'm a bit stuck here on the virgin thing because
We're not even at the virgin thing yet.
No, but I went right there. Okay, this.
The people will get confused if you're jumping back and forth in this story.
Anyways, well, so she's upset about all these rumors, so she decides to not go to parties and stay at her dad's house for a weekend.
Yeah.
While he's away scouting for new talent.
Yeah.
And Rowan here, he's quite obsessed with her, and he decides to go check on her because he knows that she had a tough time with catching her boyfriend with Justin there getting his dick blown. By Annika, the teammate. So he continues to come and checks on her, which is actually quite sweet. And then he decides at this when she's at her dad's house for the weekend that he's going to go and check on her, and then he just kind of ends up staying because they hook up. And then we find out he like all blurts and she's like, "I can never be with you. You're a player." And then he's all like, "No, I'm a virgin." She's like, "Oh, okay, then I can be with you. This is fine." Because you're not a player, and then they kiss, and then he doesn't want to sleep with her anyways. But then as they talk during this weekend, and they go over all the things that he has and hasn't done, and they do spend a bit of time talking about this, it turns out that he's done everything except for actual penetration. So I think this is kind of where we come into what makes a virgin for me.
What makes a virgin?
Yeah.
You think that getting a blowjob means that you're not a virgin?
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying that if you engage in sexual activities and you do like oral sex on each other and you do everything else but stick your penis in the vagina, does that still mean you're a virgin? Because I'm just saying, if you go then to some gay relationships and stuff where there's no penis involved, does that mean you will remain a virgin for the rest of your life? Because
like all lesbian couples are
exactly like
are virgins, and then they can go to. Then they can
all go to
Muslim
heaven,
right?
Yeah. Where they will be then raped by all the guys
so
that are
good.
given
So
40 virgins for their sacrifice, you know, whatever.
Look. No, okay, I see your point. The whole virgin penis and vagina is old school.
Yeah.
And now we should really redo it.
I mean, I just
rethink the
think
concept.
it's like one of those. I found that in this book, it was thrown out there for shock value. Like, I'm a virgin. You think I'm a player, but I'm a virgin. But
you're not really a
he's
virgin.
not really like he's not fully inexperienced. Never done anything with any like.
Yeah.
He's done everything else, and he is like to the point where he's gone down on a girl and she's never had anyone go down on her. So it still becomes sex education where he's going to show her something she's never experienced, and this is going to be like, and this, I don't know, like in that sense, I preferred Archer's Voice where it's like proper, he's freaking never.
But then it's a totally different story because this guy is playery in the sense that he fools around with a lot of girls. Sure. But he just doesn't stick his penis in any of their vaginas.
No. But this was not a reverse education. That was more the point that I was getting at. I found that the virgin thing was more of a technicality than an
So he's at her house now because she like escaped campus because she was upset about the Justin thing and all the rumors. Mm-hmm. And he has been to her house every Wednesday for family dinner because her dad is the coach and has him over as like his protege kind of thing.
Yeah.
And apparently for the last 7 years, he's been pining for her. And the reason why he's a virgin is because he hasn't had an interest in anybody to the level of his interest in her.
He's never had an interest in anybody to the level of wanting to stick his penis in them, but he's fine with his tongue and his fingers.
Yeah, but whenever
his penis.
But whenever they blow him, he imagines her.
He imagines it's her, and I guess whenever he uses his fingers and his tongue, he's imagining it's her too.
So like teensy bit.
He's a little bit stalkery, and honestly, this comes across quite a lot. And if he was not hot, like imagine him ugly, this would be a completely different story. It would not be cute and hot and sexy. It would be, what the fuck? You know all of this stuff. You watch me from the freaking shadows, more or less. You know everything about me.
Yeah.
You pretend that every girl is me whenever you do shit with them. I don't know. Like, I think this is something that you can fall into that can quickly become creepy. And I mean, this happened to Twilight too. If Edward would have been ugly, like his behavior would have been awful.
He is really suckery.
And I mean, it's in a lot. It's a little bit of a trope, I'd say, in some of these romance and romantic, where we mistake stalkery behavior for commitment.
Okay.
And dedication.
Dedication, yeah.
Interest. Whereas it's, I mean, I think they really walked the line here on it, and he's just on the good side of this. But he could easily dip into where it became too much. But I think he still stays above the what's okay behavior.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he knows her, he spends dinner with her, he knows her dad, he pays attention to what she says. So it's kind of, with all of this, it's okay. Because
and then also
he has an interest in it, so he memorizes stuff about her, so it's not as creepy as Edward Cullen breaking her window, oiling her window so you can go in and watch her sleep. I mean, that
it's not okay.
It's so fucking creepy.
Okay.
It is really, it's yeah.
But also, I appreciated the fact that he like waited for her to see him. Like she had to go through her own stuff and be focused on her own self. But he was always like, no, you know that you like me, but you don't let yourself open up to me. And I will wait for you. I will wait until you're ready to know me and love me.
Yeah, but which is good, but it's also not the only reason why he's doing it. He's also doing it because of his family. Which we find out much later, that his dad is a convicted felon.
For murder,
and now he's back out, and he's basically blackmailing Rowan for
and
money.
we see this actually a lot in real life, like in this, especially football athletic players.
Oh, for sure.
They have absent fathers or parents altogether, and then all of a sudden they become famous, and then they have these absentee parents coming back into their life. Oh, I'm so proud of you, son. Da, 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 da. Yeah. And it's not only parents, it's like aunts and uncles.
But I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, anyone comes into money, and then you're going to have people crawling out of the woodwork. You know, like, hey, family member who I have never spoken to before, you should clearly give me money. I mean, I found that was pretty accurate. Yeah. I thought this was dealt with quite well. I mean, I was frustrated with Rowan for not talking to Coach, for not talking to Demi. Like, I felt like he has such a good relationship with both of those people, and also some team members of his. That this
Braden
should have probably not been a thing that he should have felt that he couldn't talk about. But clearly he wanted to handle it on his own, and he felt a need to do so. And then as soon as Coach tells him that he knows, then he just lets it go. And this, it was dropped a little bit there at the end, because he goes to Demi and everything just forgiven and it's fine. This is really, right at the end.
Really quick,
But there's no resolution to it. We don't know if the dad ever tries to contact them again. We don't know if anything else comes from this. And as far as Demi goes, like, I know she missed him, but it was a shitty way of letting her go, in a way that,
like a decision he made for himself, like, I'm doing this for her, instead of having the conversation.
Exactly. So I have a few issues with this book, and it's mostly regarding choice of words and phrases.
Ooh.
So I have highlighted them as I came across them. Well, that one was not a good one. But, like, the V between my legs, it drove me insane. Really?
Oh, okay.
V-E-E.
Oh, okay.
Really? Okay.
It's like, yeah, but what's wrong with that? Okay, the spelling of it.
And then, dragging me to the bottom of the ocean is used in many different places to mean something very good, such as in... I arch my hips and enjoy each wave of intense pleasure as it crashes over me, dragging me to the bottom of the ocean. Or, yeah, which,
only you.
First off, I would never want to be dragged to the bottom of the ocean. I don't like this.
But I see what you mean, then, like blacking out, like from pleasure.
It's like having a fucking anchor shackled around my neck. No matter how much I fight against the constriction, it'll eventually drag me to the bottom of the ocean. Here it's used in a negative connotation. So the same turn of phrase is used as something that is deeply pleasurable and something that is extremely not. This bugged me. And also the mixing of, she's a force of nature to be reckoned with. I'm like, well, she's a force of nature or she's a force to be reckoned with.
Okay. Together. They don't go.
Mash them up. I mean, they work together, but it's not, yeah. And then
I enjoyed this book and did not stop and highlight sentences.
I did.
Like, how do you pick up on this stuff?
Because
you should be immediately working for a publishing house. Like,
no, but this when they finally have sex, he's like, I need a condom, and she's like, okay, I'm on the pill and haven't had sex in 6 months, and I'm like, all right, you're on the pill, so no babies, but haven't had sex in 6 months. Does that mean that STDs magically disappear if it's been 6 months or longer? Or, like, what is the 6 months? What is the time frame here? Like, why is this a thing? Like, it's just, if I wait 6 months, I'm all in the clear here.
Like, I don't have STDs. I haven't slept with anybody recently.
Yeah, but then it's usually, I've been tested. Yeah. Because regardless of if it's been 6 months or a week.
You could still very much have it.
So, yes.
I stopped on that too. I was like 6 months, all right.
Yeah.
But she has a little bit of education for him in that part. Because she was like, okay, enough is enough. Now I need your P and my V. And he's like, no, I'm not going to be able to.
No, I'm not going to do that. And then, back to the condom thing, because I realized why I highlighted the line underneath. Because his eyes nearly cross at being inside her heat without anything between them. If he's never had sex before, how does he know?
No, he doesn't know.
No, he doesn't know. Does not know.
No, he doesn't know. But she's like, I love how she like just took charge there. Like, okay, enough is enough. Like, oh, the oral is super wonderful and everything, but now I'm just going to jump on your penis. And he was like, no, you can't yet. And she's like, okay, what do I need to do? I'll blow you first, and then you better like get back up in 10 minutes because I need this penis. But what I thought was he was planning for so long. I'm going to take this slow. It's going to be a special moment. Like,
and then it's not.
And
it's like at a party.
At a party.
At his house.
I know. I was like, but there's so many people in the background. But I get it. Like, when you want it, you want it.
Yeah, but wouldn't it have been better, I don't know, in her, like, at her place when they were there alone? I know.
I
don't know. But, I mean,
well,
I guess to quote them again here. Hang on. 7 years is a long time to hold a torch for a girl. At some point, the dam is going to burst and all hell will break loose.
Hell?
Yeah. Again, mixing your expressions here. So, yes, I guess the dam burst and all hell broke loose here at this party.
Yeah.
But with all of this, I mean, I like to complain. It's part of my personality. What can I say?
So enjoyable to be your friend.
I know, I'm a pleasure, a delight, I'd say. But I did actually enjoy this book. I do enjoy these kinds of books. I really enjoy reading them. I love that it's a self-contained story. I love that there's a resolution to it. I love that I was writing my prediction that they would get together and then there would be something that would take them apart and then they would have to overcome. The overcoming part was very quick, but well, I will forgive it. It's usually annoying to be in the long run.
It was a very happy ending.
Yeah, and then it's happy ending. So all of this is good. And then, I mean, it was sweet, the epilogue, when it's like a few years later and he bought the apartment and he tricked her and he's asking her to marry him. I mean, that was so sweet.
And it was actually pretty practical, like that she went and played pro and then decided that it was not like going to be her future. And
it's not like it's not like this Daughters book where I'm reading where she's like, what? You're leaving me? You're choosing your job over me? And him like, okay, fine, I'll leave my job.
Yeah, that's not practical.
And then she slept with someone else. So, this is all awkward all around. This was much healthier and much better. So,
exactly. I like these healthy relationships. Thank you so much for gifting us this book. We really enjoyed it. And now we move on to our next book of the week.
Which is Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth.
And this is a book that you've had on your list for a really long time, and you keep.
But I mean, it only came out in the last year, so I don't know how long.
But I mean, it's been on your very fancy document
on my very
scheduled
super exciting, super awesome document. You guys should see my docs. I'm so proud. Anyways, we're gonna start by judging this book by its cover, and it's got two covers. The cover I have is the black one with little red details.
That's the one I have also.
Where there's a yellow jacket there in the middle. And then there's like, are they flowers or what are those? Yeah, they're like the flowers.
Yeah.
But there's a second cover as well, which it has just a text and a yellow jacket.
Those two covers are both very different. This one is like girly and more spunky, and the other one is very moody and dark.
Gothic, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I would have had the yellow cover here with a big yellow jacket, I would have assumed that this would be about wasps. But I am very also Swedish in that sense. You call things what they are. It's easy that way. No need for fancy words. Wasps. Yeah. Wasps are then plain bad heroines. They're not heroines. No. Clearly, wasps are the devil's spawn, and I hate them with a passion.
Especially North American wasps.
Oh my god.
The ones here, they sort of leave you alone in Sweden, but the ones in North America, especially back in Canada, they have it out for you.
Oh, and they live in the playground. They live in the sand in the playground. They stung my kid. We stepped on one. It's bad. Yeah. They're bad. I don't like them. The other one looks a bit darker.
The other one makes me think that this is more of like a fantasy novel that has, because of the like drooping flowers, it makes me think of like something's going to be poisoned or something like that. Yeah.
And I can tell you where I'm at in the book. This is a thing, because I am ahead a little bit.
Okay.
But so this book begins in the early 1900s, 1902 to be exact.
Okay, good. I got that right.
With the death of two girls at a boarding school that's called Brookhaunts in Rhode Island, or on Rhode Island, in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And they die by yellow jackets. So basically they disturb a proper ground's nest of these and are basically stung to death. And these two girls were lovers, which in 1902 I'm guessing was not the most acceptable things to be. And one of the girls, she was just being dropped off by her cousin, and he follows her into the woods while being upset with her, and she's upset with him. And he's also stung by the yellow jackets, but he makes it out. I don't think he's important. They talk a bit about him, the cousin, but then he kind of seems to be not important.
But he was there.
He was there, but then it's like, this book is not about him. She says it, and then I don't think it's important. But he basically, she runs into, and she disturbs his nest, and then they end up dead.
Okay.
And then we jump forward to modern times, and I don't know how modern. It's modern enough that Instagram's a thing, so.
Okay.
And our main girl here is Audrey, who's just moved back home to her mom's house, and her mom is Caroline, and Caroline is famous. She's an actress. Mm-hmm. And it turns out that Audrey is also an actress, and she will play in a movie called The Happenings at Brookhaunts, the story, which is the story of these two girls that died in 1902. Mm-hmm. And the star of this movie is a girl called Harper, who is a lesbian, and
they actually call her celesbian, like a celeb.
Yeah. And she has a girlfriend as well. Audrey's father seems to be absent. He seems to only send her gifts occasionally. And then we move on and we get to actually be with Harper. And she's named Harper because her mom loved How to Kill a Mockingbird.
Okay.
But she didn't want to name of Scouts, so she named her Harper because Harper was the one who wrote the book. But her last name was also Harper. That's why she's Harper.
Yeah.
But she always thought that her little baby girl would have the father's last name. It didn't turn out that way. So
No.
that's so she's Harper. She's Harper Lee Harper, actually.
Okay.
And they're at a house in Montana that she has bought for her mom. Her mom is a recovering alcoholic.
Right.
And she has a little brother there too. He's 11, I think, years old or so. So it was a little bit hard as far as chapters goes with this book
they don't
to
really
stop.
to
Because I was like right in the first section of this book where it's like just talking about this first event in 1902, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna be chapter 1, so this is good. And I go and look, I'm like, chapter 7. What the frick?
Whoops.
What was chapter 1 through 6 then? And I think it was all like the little poetry and stuff, and there's like some excerpts and things in the beginning that they talk about from other books. So
but then there's the narrator who like basically tells you what the book is going to be about.
Yeah.
And she's like, also remember this girl's name and remember this part because this is going to come into play. And they drop a lot of hints and notes of like hauntings and things like that.
But all the chapters in the beginning, they were like about a minute to 2 minutes long. So that's why this one was the first decent sized chapter. So that's why we stopped an hour into the book, and we were both listening to this.
We're both listening to it, which is why we say an hour. And the book is actually 19 hours plus some.
Yeah. So it's a long one.
Yeah.
So we know that the two girls died at the boarding school in 1902. We know they're making a movie about it in the present time with star Harper. We know there are yellow jackets popping up everywhere so far in this book. Every time they introduce a new character, there's a yellow jacket there. There also seems to be a bit of a gay theme going on here with Harper and maybe even Audrey.
I think
being a lesbian. I wasn't sure about Audrey at this point. And the girls who died in 1902 were definitely lesbians.
Yeah.
And I find that, like, with 18 plus hours left, it's a little bit difficult to predict. But I think we might get more deaths by yellow jackets. It's hard to say this. With
Yellow jacket.
Yellow jackets.
Yeah, okay.
And there was also mentioned that the girls that died are haunting the boarding school.
Yeah.
So I think now when they're going to go back and they're going to start shooting at the school, I think we're going to get some ghost action coming into play. And I predict murder.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, this was my whole prediction because I really could not.
Right, but the first thing that came to mind was this season that I watched of American Horror Story.
Okay.
Where there were real murders that had happened at the house, and now actors and actresses are there trying to film or reenact what had happened in a sort of reality show way.
Yeah.
And then the murders start to happen again, like the way that it was before. And there's a bigger story to it, of course, but that like flashed into my mind of, is that where we're going with this? Now we know that there's a murder, and now the actors are going to go back to the boarding school to film this, and then the murder's going to happen again.
Yeah.
And is it going to be the girls, the dead girls, who like sick yellow jackets on everybody? But are they so upset that they died because they were running from the cousin, but they were not in any way like having a horrible death if you die from bee stings.
There's got to be a horrible.
But I mean, not murdered at somebody else's hand. So there's no like revenge.
No.
That I can see right now. But then maybe that is what's going to happen, and we're going to find out that the cousin made the bees be there or something like that, and there's going to be a revenge, and that's why the ghosts are like haunting the actors and actresses, and they're all going to die, and then maybe it's going to be recycled. Maybe we're going to have another future where more people go to the house, and now the actors and actresses murder them.
Well, I don't know. We have another 18 hours to go, so we better get to it, man.
We do. We gotta go.
We don't have time for this. Oh my god, we have so much listening to do ahead, and also reading other bad books or good books.
Yes.
Well, we do. So, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
We'd Rather Be Reading is an original podcast by Jerrica and Leah Sanfo. The music for The Penguins, written and performed by David Allred from the album The Transition, courtesy of Erased Tapes. Please check him out on Spotify and check us out on social media. We're on Facebook and Instagram at We'd Rather Be Reading and on Twitter at We'd Rather Read. You can also email us at we'dratherbereadingthepod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.